writer's block does not exist.
So I think some people view creativity as like this gift that comes to you and you don't really have control over it.
You're not living to create.
No.
Like you're not trying to like have all these experiences so that you have content to be inspired by. That's not the point. Do you think when people say they have writer's block, that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in any way?
I don't know about you, but I can't think of any industry where when things get hard, that's not when the real work starts. Like if you're an athlete, it's when things are hard that the real work begins, and that's what separates you from everybody else, is when you're able to actually like push into what's hard. When you're working on a song and you're also living your everyday life in between the gaps of working on the song and you're sitting on that idea, bring that idea with you so that when you're talking with people, when you're walking around a city, when you're at work, like you're still kind of, like that kind of goes along with what I was thinking about my song. And I think that's what happens to us a lot in other areas of our life. I've always loved the idea that like if you work with your hands, you rest with your mind and vice versa. And I think the concept applies here. I've
seen instrumentalists be so consumed with their instrument that's their life. And I'm like, yo, you might be like the best guitar player I know, but man, I don't want to hang out with you.
When you're motivated to write a song for a specific reason, it is really like writer's block doesn't feel like it exists.
That's right. We don't believe writer's block exists, and it's because of resources like the Songbird Toolkit. This is a comprehensive guide to unlocking your songwriting potential. It's basically filled with all kinds of prompts, exercises, tools, and melodical and rhythmic and lyrical jump starters to help you write more songs that you wouldn't have otherwise thought to write. If you use this, you can say goodbye to writer's block. Here's an example of one of the many prompts that give you a lot of imagery for writing a song. Write about two people arguing in the middle of a street, screaming through tears, knowing this is the last fight they'll ever have. Here's another one. Write about a drive back to a hometown where every exit sign brings back a different memory. Ooh. It gives you jump starter ideas for how to maybe start a melody or start a song. One idea is the clap sing trick. Clap out a random rhythm and fit a melody into the gaps. Have you ever tried that before? Another idea is the syncopation shift. Write a straight rhythm first, then shift some syllables off beat for a groovier feel. If any of those examples or ideas or prompts or exercises excite you or help you get going on ideas that you haven't thought of before, go to the link in our description, download this resource, and get writing. The point of this resource is not to help you write a hit song, though if that happened, that would be amazing. The point of it is to help you get into the routineness of writing, exercising your writing muscle, and to develop you and to help you have more inspiration and motivation for telling your story. So go ahead and do that. And without further ado, now we go into the podcast where we debunk the myth that writer's block exists.
So Kamo, you sent me a text this morning.
Yes.
With a very provocative,
statement.
Yes.
Yes.
What did you tell me?
The text was writer's block does not exist.
Yes. And I actually wholeheartedly agree.
Which I was wondering when I sent it to you. I was like, I wonder, I have no idea what he thinks. But
I know. I'm waiting for the topic that we throw out that we're like opposite, like hard. I mean, I feel like we've had some debate, but yeah, I feel like I agree, right? I don't think writer's block exists.
Yeah. Where did even writer's block come from? What does it do for us? Why do people believe it exists? All the things.
Yeah. So first off, I'll just say I think this is like our opinion.
Yeah.
You can have lots of opinions on this.
But we're right.
But we're right.
I'm kidding.
I think how people view even like creating things is a little bit different.
Mm-hmm.
So I think some people view creativity as like this gift that comes to you.
Yeah.
And you don't really have control over it.
Mm-hmm.
And in that sense, if that's how you believe creativity works, it would make a lot of sense that like, oh man, like sometimes the gift comes, sometimes the gift doesn't come. It's out of my control. And I think some people view creative types or artists this way of like, oh man, like it just comes to you. It's amazing how it just comes to you. And like that'll never be me. I feel like the same thing in a more silly sense happens with like instruments.
Yeah.
Like when people will hear me play guitar and they don't do anything musical, and they might say something like, oh, you're so talented. I'm like, I'm actually very untalented. Like it took a lot of work. Like you didn't hear all of the untalent that I had as a child in the struggle bus to like get to where I am.
Yeah.
you just see the end result now and just assume like, oh, he just picked it up and like played it. It's like, no. Like,
and I could never do that.
I could never. Yeah. And I could never. It's like, actually, if you sat there and gave hours and hours and hours of your life, you could do that. So I think even the idea of like where creativity comes from colors why we have these things like writer's block that we say.
And there are certain moments where like something comes to you that almost feels like outside of yourself.
Yes.
But that doesn't have to be anyone's experience all the time. That's nobody's experience all the time, which is why when you think that way, writer's block, I guess in a sense, does exist in that the only way you create or write is when that inspiration comes.
Yep.
And that's no way to write.
Yep.
Or is it any way to live? I think all the best writers that we know of, both famous and independent or small, write in routineness, and they're not putting stipulations around what they write. A lot of writer's block comes from, oh, I don't like what I write.
Yeah.
And if I don't like what I write, then it's not a good song, or it's not worth writing in the first place. And so even I love, you may have seen this John Mayer clip like floating around where he talks about this very topic, where he says like, man, like, why does my liking the song have to prevent me from writing it? Your tastes catch up to what you're writing.
Yeah.
And maybe that's not always true, but if you don't like what you're writing, that doesn't mean you stop writing. And it doesn't mean that you have writer's block.
Yeah.
It just means your tastes haven't caught up to what you're doing in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just all the ideas around creativity and writing. I mean, again, like if you're a writer, you live and breathe writing. You practice writing. You're spending time writing.
Yeah.
And then when you're not actually writing, you're around other people talking about the topics.
Yes.
And I feel like people take that for granted that like you're working out an idea or ideas over time with lots of people.
Yeah.
It's basically a giant collaborative process. Whether you actually had like a co-write with people or not, you know, you're like, it could be like, man, like I have this idea about like what it's like to be broken up with. And then you start talking to your friends about it and then they start sharing, like light bulbs are going off in your head.
Yeah.
And to me, that's what creativity is. It's you have information and you're rearranging that information in different ways.
Yes.
And the fact that that information is now in a different way is what makes it creative.
Yes.
And so if I'm stuck and I don't feel like I have any ideas on something, it's because maybe I need some more puzzle pieces to play with and some more ideas to bounce off of. And so I think there's many ways, like we'll talk about some very specific practical techniques to do that. But to me, that's how creativity happens. And that's why if someone tells me they're not creative, I'm like, you are creative. Like,
yes.
You just have to like sit down and put your mind towards something. You might need some information. Like you might not be creative when it comes to like, you're not going to sit down and write a song because you have no business doing that because you're not musical. Maybe you are, but like maybe you're really creative. Like I've mentioned before, like in the way that you organize things, or you're really creative in the way that like you see people and you know how they'll fit on a team.
Yeah.
You know, there's lots of ways to do it.
For sure. What you just mentioned is, and this is something I've talked about before on other episodes. Big fan of Rick Rubin. Anyone who's listened to almost any episode has heard me quote him. But this topic in particular is close to what you're saying, where really the main work of the artist or the creator or the writer is the input. Like, what am I receiving? What am I taking in? What kind of information or puzzle pieces am I allowing myself to like kind of put in my back pocket for when I'm writing? And you're not living to create.
No.
Like you're not trying to like have all these experiences so that you have content to be inspired by. That's not the point. But as you live these experiences and as you interact with people and experience heartbreak and watch a movie and enjoy nature, are you aware of what's going on around you? Like, are you experiencing these things? And when you do, they are puzzle pieces, like you're saying, for more creativity. I think people in their writing get siloed off to specific topics, or they kind of filter in and out what kind of information they want to receive.
You're about like how like Taylor Swift only writes love songs or something like that.
Maybe.
You feel like you're stuck in that spot.
And that's a lot of people. And Taylor Swift happens to be really, really good at writing love songs all the time.
Yeah.
But for some people, there's a cap. There's only so much love songs that you can write before you feel you are capped off and have, quote, writer's block. So maybe try writing on another topic or writing about another person or writing about another thing. So, yeah. Do you think it when people say they have writer's block, that it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy in any way?
I don't know, like if I'd use the phrase self-fulfilling prophecy, but
Sure.
I think it definitely becomes an excuse.
Okay.
So, like, if I want to write a song about, like, say you wanted to write a song about your family member, and you're like, I have a really sweet, tender relationship with my family member. I want to write a song about this. I think it'd be really interesting. And you just start going through all these ideas in your mind about this family member. Eventually, you're going to like hit this wall where like you've thought of all the easy things that came to your mind.
Yeah.
At that point, you could tell yourself, writer's block, man.
Yeah.
I'm just done.
Yeah.
I don't think I got any more on this. Or you could say, man, like, I'm going to go talk to that family member. I'm going to talk to other family members. I'm going to watch some old family footage. I'm going to look at some pictures. Like, you're literally looking around for, like, what else is going to inspire me to have some different thoughts about it. Then you might ask some other people.
Yeah.
Kamo, how do you feel about your brother, your sister, your nephew, whatever, like, the family members we're talking about?
Let
Like,
me tell you.
How do you feel about the... And then as I'm hearing you talk, I'm like, oh, man, that's actually really similar to mine. Or like, oh, that's not anything like mine. But it helps me frame my story.
Yeah.
And so... I just think we have these ideas, and once we run through the easy ideas, I don't want anything to become an excuse not to like push for something more, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's like, if you just subscribe to like, I at writer's block, you're done when it gets hard.
Yeah.
And I don't know about you, but I can't think of any industry where when things get hard, that's not when the real work starts.
Yes.
Like if you're an athlete, it's when things are hard that the real work begins. And that's what separates you from everybody else is when you're able to actually like push into what's hard.
For sure.
In like athletics, you won't even have a career if you can't do that. You know what I mean? Like you won't even be bottom level of the career.
Yeah.
So
I know I fall prey to that lie that like I have to be emotionally in the best spot, or like I have to be so excited or motivated to do the thing. And it's like, that's not, like you said, that's nobody else's case in any other industry where you have to feel all the time like you're able and willing and wanting to do the work. Other times you might just have to do the work.
Yeah.
And I think also there's like, this is a looming thought in my mind when I'm not feeling it, quote, is like, man, it can't possibly be good if I'm like having
having to work for it.
Yes. But again, and we can't beat this dead horse enough. Like you cannot write only when you think it's going to be good.
Yeah.
You need to write at all, like at all times, regardless of what you're feeling. And that allows you in moments where you do feel good, or in moments like when a new song that is good is ready to emerge, to actually emerge.
Yeah.
But if you're just piling up all these emotions and not writing, or you're not in the routine of writing or exercising that muscle, it'll never come out. You need to let it out.
Yeah, yeah.
For whatever you might be feeling or whatever, you know. So.
Yeah. I have a very specific idea about that, but I wanted to go back to like maybe another reason why like writer's block feels like why people like to say they have writer's block.
Yeah.
I also think there's like a romanticism around writing.
Sure.
Almost like, you know what I mean? Like, that's that genius in the room and ideas just come to them. And like we kind of romanticize it to the point that we like, it's not that mystical. And there is elements of it. And I think there's practical reasons why it feels this way, but there's elements of it that do feel like, man, that idea came to me. And I feel like I didn't generate that idea. So I'm not, trying to say that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like most of the time, it's not some genius in a room. All these ideas are flooding their brain, and it's like they're the only ones that can come up with it.
Yeah.
So I think we romanticize it, and that's why it feels easy to say like, oh, I just have writer's block, because then it's like, oh, it's not me. It's something bigger than me. That's like, no.
Yeah.
It could be you.
Or if you think that and that's not your experience, you think, oh, this writing thing probably isn't for me.
Yeah.
But if you have a realistic view of what writing is, and you know that it's actually hard work, then you can decide for yourself accurately whether or not it's for you. But what you said is very true. Like, again, I fall prey to this all the time where I think even this weekend, on Saturday, I was at home and I was like, man, I really want to write right now. And like, I have like ideas and stuff like that. And this can be a whole subtopic in and of itself in this conversation. But I was like, man, I want to write right now, but I know that I have a 15-minute drive to the studio that might, in between that time, kill my motivation. Then I have to set up all this stuff, and then I have to do this thing. And by the time I actually finally sit down, is my motivation and my spark still going to be there? And I had to wrestle with that, and I still showed up anyway, because I was like, man, even if the spark isn't there, I still have to let out whatever I'm feeling right now. And when I'm writing with co-writers, like you might be writing with some of your best friends or people you might have dreamed of writing and never had the chance to, but this opportunity's fallen in your lap. It's like, I get to write with so-and-so. And then you get in a room with them, find out that you get up close and they too are also human.
Yeah.
And humans have to work together. And sometimes there's friction and sometimes there's disagreement and sometimes there's conflict. And all of a sudden it's no longer magical or romantic. Yep. It becomes hard work. But on the other side of that hard work is probably something good. So, yeah.
Just to solve your problem, Cameron, you probably need a keyboard back at your house again.
I do.
Isn't that funny?
That.
You think about like moving all your stuff to a studio and you're like, oh, I still miss having something at home.
For sure. Which is why I was saying that could be a subtopic in yourself, because I think that example, people can probably relate to that in that they have a lot of roadblocks in between them and connecting the dots of like letting out their inspiration. The reality is there's probably a lot of external things that you could do to make motivation and inspiration a lot easier for yourself and kind of catch magic in a bottle a little bit more.
Yeah.
I do this with producing. Like there's a reason that we have like templates, and there's a reason that I set aside time to like find sounds so that when it comes time for me to actually work with an artist, I'm not scrolling through sounds, which takes 15 minutes and kills the inspiration that me and the artist have.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing for writers. You have things that you probably could put in place to make the gap between first moment of inspiration and the outputting of your work shorter.
Yep. Yeah. So going back to when you're talking about like it's something you work at a lot.
Yeah.
It's a muscle you exercise. I want to make a joke about like my first love photography, but it's really like my 20,000th love because I feel like I have a lot of things I like. But when I started learning a little bit, I was like, man, I want to like understand color theory more. So like the idea that how do colors interact with each other in a pleasing way. And so this one photographer was like, well, what you should do is like next time you go to the city, like pick a color and only take pictures of that color. So like walk around and like only take pictures of things that are green for like the whole week. Yeah. And then it's like next week, only take pictures of things that are red.
Yeah.
And what happens is, I bet if you do that exercise, when you go somewhere, like say you've studied green for a week, you're going to start seeing green everywhere and noticing it everywhere. And so what I'm saying is like when you're working on a song, like, and you're also living your everyday life in between the gaps of working on the song, because you're probably not going to sit down one day and write the whole thing. You might write part of it. And you're sitting on that idea, bring that idea with you so that when you're talking with people, when you're walking around a city, when you're at work, like you're still kind of, oh, like that kind of goes along with what I was thinking about my song. And I think that's what happens to us a lot in other areas of our life. I think like, especially spiritually, we might be thinking we're like hearing something from God or having the spiritual experience. And then all of a sudden, like other things are lining up with that experience.
Yeah.
And some of that might be like God working out through those things, but some of it also just might be like, you're more like attentive to that idea and it's resonating with you more right now. So I think like that's the always practicing. That's the, even though I'm at work, you know, something pops up and like it kind of comes back to my thought.
Yeah. There have been times for me where I've started a song and didn't have the information or the experience to complete it. And then months later I had that experience or I noticed that thing and I was like, that's it. That's the line. Or that's the bridge or whatever.
Yeah.
So I think what you're saying is very, very true.
Yeah. Also, I'm just trying to think of like the spectrum of songwriters that you have. You have the people that I think practice it a lot. And so they can sit down and they can work through ideas and they're used to the process.
Yeah.
I'm thinking maybe on the other side of it, if you're a newer songwriter or you haven't had that much experience, you probably do just write down like your base level thoughts and like end a song there without pushing for the hard stuff.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel that way. I just feel like I hear two different levels of songs from people.
Yeah.
I hear the one level that's like, man, it feels like you really spent time with all of this. And then I hear another one, it's like, it feels like you wrote down the first things that came to your mind and the first melody that came to you. And like, I feel like we've had this because you're more melodic than I am. And so sometimes like I'll think of a melody and we'll start working on it and you'll start like really fine tuning my melody. And in my mind, I'm like, I'm not there at all. Like I'm just trying to fine tune the words. But like I've moved on. I'm like, that melody worked. Why are like we still, and you're like, yeah, it like worked, but it could be better.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like, do you think writer's block plays into that thought too? Of like, if you have to work for it, like you're saying, it's too hard, that's like where the block happens. So you just settle for it's easy, or do you think they just don't even know that you could push more?
I think it could be either or. I think it's really telling in a co-write.
Yeah.
Because what you just said between you and I, when we've written before, where the person, and it doesn't have to be contingent on what other people think. That's not what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But I am saying that like when another person isn't like with you, I think you do need to like have open ears of like, oh, like what are they potentially hearing that I'm not hearing?
Or what are they like wanting to get out of this maybe?
Yeah.
Because like I think you could be in a session with someone and someone could throw out a line, and in your mind you're like, I'm not trying to write a song that uses the same cliche lines.
Yes.
But in their mind they're just like, oh, this makes sense and works in the melody. And you're like, no, I want to push for something different. So like you have like different goals.
Which you have to exercise so much sensitivity. I struggle with that the most when I feel like unsatisfied with a melody or a lyric. When I think that lyric is like 70% there.
Yeah.
But I think it could be there more. But I don't know how to articulate how to get it there just yet. But I think we need to work on it still. That's always so tough.
Yeah.
But I think it's worth it. I think also it goes back to what we talked about, I think a few episodes ago, where with like inspiration versus imitation, where I think, again, this is only my experience. I know when I'm cutting corners. Like I know when I'm short changing a line and not giving it a lot of thought and energy, and I know when it can be better. And so sometimes when I walk away from that line, I feel this tension within me of like, I can't just like let that line be what it is. And I'll show that song or that line to a friend and they'll be like, that could be worked on. And I'm like, yeah, you're right.
Bro, isn't it when we show things to other people, we instantly see our work in a more true light, even without them saying? Like, I feel like when I'm showing someone a mix, if it like hits verse 2 and I'm like making an excuse, it's like all of a sudden I'm like, oh yeah, like I know that could be, it's like, why am I like thinking the song's close to done if there's still something I want to work on? But like I didn't think that thought until I had to show someone.
Right.
Because I was like, oh, maybe this will work. And then when I show someone, I'm like,
right.
I don't really like this. I'm like a little embarrassed about this.
Yes. Or you might have had a subconscious thought that you were kind of burying while you were writing. And then it really pulls out.
Yeah. It sticks out to you.
Yeah.
Like, oh, they're going to say something about this.
For sure. So I want to...
We got to get back to talking about writer's block.
Well, we do, but just... And this is about writer's block, but I want to clarify because I think people think at this point in the episode that you and I are just like, go, 7 days a week. Let's go hard. Not the case. No. So how do you balance, in the context of songwriting, we could talk about it in life context, but in the context of songwriting in particular, how do you balance finding like rest versus avoiding work?
Yeah, I've always loved the idea that like if you work with your hands, you rest with your mind and vice versa. And I think the concept applies here.
Yeah.
So for instance, if you work a 40-hour a week, 9 to 5 corporate job, maybe resting for you is writing music. And so that's really great.
Yeah.
Now, if you spend a lot of time writing music, I actually think you need the rest outside of that to get inspiration. And this is like what you're talking about, not to go have life experiences just so you can write about them, but just like go have life experiences because it's going to enrich your life. And when your life is more enriched, you'll have more to offer writing wise.
Yes.
So, you know, again, that's where it's like if you've carved out multiple times a week to write, you probably also need to carve out some time in the week to do other things that inspire you. Is that nature?
Yeah.
Is that connection with other people, relationships and storytelling? Is that like movies? Is that books? Like what are the things that kind of add some like richness to your life?
Yeah.
And that'll give you some more experiences to lean on, some more information to play with, all that kind of stuff. So I think it's really important. But again, it's going to depend on who you are.
Yeah.
If you're a full-time songwriter, again, your life might be, I guess it might be a lot of emails and like talking to fans and then working on your music. You need to take some kind of step away from that for a little bit.
For sure.
To have something to bring back to the table.
Yeah, I agree. This is the case for me too. Like if because I'm working on music throughout the week, when it comes Saturday time and it comes time for me to rest, I'm actually like, I can't. Like I need to not work on music or try to write and do something else. Like you said, like I need to go play pickleball or go be with friends, go experience things that take my mind almost completely off of music because I'm working on it so much.
Yeah.
But if your life isn't completely surrounded by music and you don't get to it all the time, it might actually be a really great place of rest in and of itself.
Yeah.
So,
yeah, hot take. I don't think you could actually make your life about music.
Sure.
And do a really great job.
Yes.
Because I
agree.
Not as a writer, because eventually you need that like richness of what it's like to be a human to write good things.
Yeah.
So your life just can't be consumed with making music. Also, like that would kind of be sad because our life's not about making music.
Yeah. Now
your life might be about the stories that music is telling.
Yes.
But it should never be about just writing music.
Yeah. And I've even instrumentalists, like I've seen instrumentalists be so consumed with their instrument that that's their life. And I'm like, yo, you might be like the best guitar player I know, but man, I don't want to hang out with you.
Guitar players, man. They just got to sit in their room and shred.
Players,
it's hard.
dude.
It's a hard world to be really good at guitar because there's so many really great people.
Yeah. So,
So I think so going back, if you feel like you're experiencing writer's block.
Yes.
I feel like what are some things you should do?
Mm-hmm.
So I think first off, like, it's great to ask some questions like, what is writer's block? Do I feel like, is this just something I'm telling myself because I don't want to do something that's hard? So like, what's your motivation?
Yeah.
So is it just hard? You don't want to do it? Is it you're tired? Maybe you need rest. Is it you need more information and ideas and like you should have some conversations with people and so try to see some things in life a different way and have some experiences? Like, I guess that's my question. What are the reasons people would have writer's block, and then what are some of the ways to break how they're feeling? Yeah.
I mean, you laid out a lot of
that was like three
ways.
quick ones. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like what else are you thinking of?
No, I mean, again, there's so many different variables. You have to think about the fact that there are different things that contribute to your ability to write, and that things that might get in your way, including your environment, including your experiences, including your own internal state of being. I think that I'm stuck myself.
Yeah. Gotcha.
I feel like we've already laid out a lot of reasons. I don't want to be repetitive.
Yeah.
A lot of different.
Here's another thought. What do you think about shelving a song?
Oh, putting it away.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. I do that all the time.
Yeah. I feel like I hear a lot of like amazing songwriters. They'll share like, actually, I had this for like 3-4 years. I didn't have the other part of the song, or I didn't know how I was going to go, or it just wasn't time. And then like I came back to it and it was great. Who was it? Did you hear the thing about Ed Sheeran and his phone?
No.
So like, I don't know if I have all the facts 100% right in this story. So fact check me, internet. But apparently, like, he stopped using his phone years ago as just like a way to like disconnect.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not going to have a phone. Like, if you want to reach me, you'll have to do it through like my manager kind of a thing. But like, I'm not going to have a phone. So he just doesn't have a phone.
Sick.
Then all the court stuff happens and they asked for all his old devices so they can like go through them and see like where his songs came from and all that kind of stuff. He said when that happened, he had to turn on all his devices and he started going through it and he was like, hey, like that's pretty good. Like these are like voice memos and like notes that I took of things that I'll actually use now.
Yeah.
But he like forgot about them for years.
Yeah.
I also know like shout out Blake Goss. Like something that he does is he has notes on his phone, and for him, he's a worship leader. He's going around the country leading worship at different places. It's like people always want you to have like an idea. Like spiritual encouragement. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so for him, like if he's driving or he's having a conversation or he's in his quiet time and like God hits him with something that he thinks would be valuable to share in that context, he has like a running note that he writes all this down. So if you were cool. Hey, can you share a word with me? He's like, oh yeah. And it's authentic. It's not like he's making something up on the spot. It's like, it's a word that he's already had.
Yeah. And thought through.
And it's like, it's a good word. And it just so happens that he's really diligent in collecting it. So he has it. So that's like, I'm starting to do that because I'm in some circles where like at church specifically, like we have to lead huddles all the time. We're encouraging people to serve. And like, what does that look like? And so I'm starting to like try to take more notes during the week. And then if I'm ever in that spot, it's not like, I'll have to think about this thing that I'm going to say on Sunday 3 days from now. It's like, I already got like a bunch of ideas of things that I can share that I feel like are valuable. So I feel like that's part of it too. It's like, you might want to shelve an idea and then slowly work on that idea for years, maybe through notes. And you don't even know what's going to connect with one another.
Yeah. I do that. Like I do that a lot. For me, it's not been years. I feel like for me, like if it's more than a year, I probably like have forgotten about it or don't care about it anymore. But a few months can pass and I'll be like, wait, why did I leave that behind? Oh, it's
Yeah.
probably because I didn't have anything to write with it. But now I do.
Yeah.
So that happens to me all the time for sure.
I feel like you might really resonate with this. I feel like the songwriters that I know almost have like an album dump afterwards.
Mm-hmm.
Like they'll push really hard to finish an album.
Yeah.
It's like they wrote all the songs. They're so excited, get into production. They're just working on the songs more. They're in the mix and master and they're just like finalizing every little detail. This whole long process that they spent with all these songs. And it was like a lot of emotional effort.
Mm-hmm.
And then that album drops and you feel like it should be like the happiest day of their life.
Yeah.
And usually it feels like there's like a crash afterwards.
Yeah.
And I don't know, like, if you could avoid that or not avoid that. I haven't experienced that on that level, but I know that a lot of my friends have had that and it seems really real. And so maybe there's just a part of the process of like, you've ran really hard and you really do just need like a break. There's a reason why like sports have seasons.
For sure.
Like after the championship, there's like a couple of months off.
Yeah.
To where you're just like, I got to make sure like I still love this thing coming back in 3 months.
Yeah. Again, I have instrumentalist friends that like practice every day and they're like super gung-ho about it, but they took like a month off.
Yeah.
And they're like, I actually feel better about my instrument from just taking a quick break from it, which is like wild.
Yeah. Well, I was saying you said you feel stuck sometimes writing. So I wonder if sometimes that's like your last album was a little bit ago, but I wonder if that's how you felt right after that one.
Yeah, I did. And there's so much, especially when you involve a lot of people in the making of the album, instrumentalists, writers, producers, mix engineers, then there's so much built up anticipation around it and so much excitement that it does feel like a crash. And especially there's so many variables because you also need like a good marketing plan, a post-release marketing plan as well. If you don't have that, then it's never going to feel like it has longevity afterward in the excitement of it all.
Then it's kind of like you built up all this work and then put it out there and you don't really get a return on it. And you're just like, oh.
Then it's definitely going to feel like it's a dump for sure. And yeah, I don't know. I haven't thought through how to come on the other side of that feeling better about it. I mean, I still very much feel proud of my works. But there is all this energy. Thankfully, like, I don't know, you have, and this is probably what I might do next time. You have all this time in between the time you finish the album for real and the time it releases, or at least you should to be safe. And that's a time for you to like reflect on the album, kind of celebrate internally in yourself before it gets out and celebrate it. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly how to go about that.
Yeah. I feel like we'll wrap this episode up.
Yeah.
I feel like it'd be great to talk in another episode about like motivation.
Sure.
Because I would imagine like when you're motivated to write a song for a specific reason, it is really like writer's block doesn't feel like it exists. Do you know what I'm saying? Like when people are like, hey, like we got this summer camp coming up, we want to write songs for it.
Yeah.
Motivation.
Yes.
When it's like our friend Luke, like, hey, Valentine's Day is coming up and I want to write a song for my bride.
Yes.
Like that's motivation.
Writer's block isn't even an option at that point.
Yeah. You're not, you're like, you'll push through anything to like, get that project done.
Yeah.
So I guess that'd be a great question to like wrestle through is like, how do you find motivation? Because also part of what we're saying is like, you have to write a lot. Not all the time you're going to have motivation for it. So there's this tension, but how do we like try to get some motivation for it?
For sure.
Why are we doing this?
Yeah. You have to answer that question for yourself. I write for Jesus. And it really is enough motivation for me. Having a relationship with Jesus, an everyday relationship with Jesus, provides me endless inspiration.
Yeah.
The Bible provides me endless inspiration.
But would you say it's your motivation for writing, like when you write like a love song or like a breakup song?
Not chiefly, not at that moment. But I think it does come from my worldview in that like and like what you're saying, and you don't need to be a Christian to believe this, but like everyone has a story to tell. Yeah. And all of those stories point to something greater than the actual story itself. And so I am also writing from my experiences, writing from heartache, writing for love, all the things. So I don't know. I'm not That's
why I said we'll do another conversation.
For sure.
We'll get some more thoughts on this.
Sure.
But
so as we close up, I wanted to talk about the Songbird Toolkit. We mentioned it at the beginning of the podcast. And it we really do think it's going to be a significant tool for songwriters and music artists to be able to thrive and no longer experience writer's block. It's resources and tools like this. First off, I can confidently say I don't think there are many resources that are like this and geared specifically towards this. There are some, but it's tools like this that will help people get inspiration, be motivated, draw on different ideas and tools and prompts to be able to write. And we put a disclaimer. We do say that at the beginning of the resource that it is not, the point of it is not that you write a banger or a hit song. You might, and that would be really, really cool. But the win is that you write at all to begin with, that you have prompts that get you exercising that muscle and get you in the routine of writing. And to think outside of the small box you might have created for yourself and the stipulations you might have put around writing, it's really meant to show you that there are endless, I put the quote, endless possibilities in the PDF several times. Because I do think that's true. I do think there's no shortage of ideas, themes, topics, prompts, exercises that you can do in order to keep writing, because this world is so big. And so there are a lot of prompts in there and tools that we think will bless people. So if you click on the link in our bio, we will, if you click on the link in our description, it'll take you to download it. It's free. We've made it for free for people to grow.
Awesome. Love it, man.
All right, y'all. We'll see y'all around.
Bye.
Bye.